Hey everybody, let's make that look pretty there. Alright, so let's talk about some H1Z1. Thought we would put out another ground zero. So much going on in Reddit, and that's kind of been my favorite place to go and find some forgot the name of the game, find some great H1Z1 content stuff. It's amazing. It seems like every day I go there, there's new topics. I never see the same content just sitting there. So even though a lot of the stuff people talk about is stuff that we talk about in other games that we play, like the Dead Linger, which is what I was going to say earlier, Dead Linger. The thing is, it's still exciting to talk about what could possibly be in there and what we would like to see. And the H1Z1 community has just been fabulous with coming up with thoughts and ideas. And yeah, sometimes you see some overlap. Sometimes I'll look at the Reddit and I'll go, oh, I've already read that here on the H1Z1 post, or I already see that in another game. But there's still a lot of good stuff that comes through. There's a lot of folks sharing great stuff. So I was like, well, gee, I think it's time that I pop in there. And of course, some things I read about earlier are not on the front page anymore because they get swapped out. But there's always some new stuff to take a look at. Now, I was just going through a few items, clicked on a few things, and one thing I noticed down here was there was a work in progress stream, which I missed. Lucky me. So here you can get it on their YouTube, H1Z1 YouTube. They got themselves an H1Z1 YouTube channel, and also if you go to Twitch, you can look at previous streams. The last thing I left off was I was actually about halfway through the first Survivor radio cast that they were doing, and it just work gets in the way, and then work is over, and then I'm spending time with family, so I haven't had a chance to sit down and listen to the whole radio broadcast. And I was actually surprised when I was looking in comments left over in the Twitch chat. You go in there, people talk. Well, I actually saw there was a lot of people that were complaining about the Survivor radio. They were like, oh, this is jippy, there's no gameplay footage and stuff like that. But I'm actually excited to listen to it. When I'm listening to it, I'm thinking some of the quality isn't so good. I'm like, man, these voice actors aren't very good. They're really misreading their lines and, having issues here. But on the other hand, I thought some of it was really good. Like the convoy interview, talking to the trucker. So like I said, I haven't heard the whole thing. Maybe it either gets really bad or it really continues to kind of suck me into what's happening in the game. And again, it shows their commitment to putting out stuff to keep drawing your interest in. So you might not like the Survivor radio, which is understandable, especially if you're going and looking for real updates or gameplay video footage. So when I scrolled down here and I saw that they had put a work in progress stream, almost 2 hours long, I haven't even had a chance to watch it. I just clicked on the link and saw that, oh my goodness, they put up a 2-hour stream. So just more stuff for me to get caught up on. So I'm excited to see stuff coming out quite frequently for the game. And I'm super impressed. And I hope to see more. Now, one thing I've seen here kind of prevalent is folks asking, when is the pre-alpha coming out? When is that going to hit Steam so we can start picking it up? I've heard that the 23rd, Friday the 23rd, is when we'll have a definite date. So I'm hoping that's true. But then just looking here through some of the posts, it doesn't sound like they've really come out with a definite, or it's being pushed back again. Which is always kind of the crappy part about a game, is when they say, yeah, here's when we expect to put a pre-alpha out, and then the pushbacks begin. And at this point, I'm just not surprised anymore when any game decides they need to push back. I'm used to it at work. We work on deadlines too, but the thing I've learned is deadlines are not firm. Like, the only firm deadline really is our rent, our electricity bill, tax day, Christmas, that's the 25th. There's some dates that are pretty firm, but when it comes to a video game or something that relies on other people, those dates sometimes get pushed back. And it's really hard to hold a company to that. I would like to, but there's not any product yet to hold them accountable for. And I've not given them any money, so I can't be upset that it's not there. I'm upset that it's not there because I'm looking for something new. I'm kind of gotten to a point where I'm a little bit disappointed into some of my current zombie games, Dead Linger, I'll just say. So I'm looking for that new thing to come out. So am anxious for that. But, kind of almost like a side tangent, we really don't know all the details to why it might be delayed. I mean, that could be anything crazy, like maybe someone on the team got sick and was gone for a couple days, which then caused something else to be delayed, which something else needed. Any number of things. So I'm not going to hold them to that. When we start giving them money, then I'll be more critical of pushbacks and delays. But with that being said, they're still putting out streams and content. And I would not be surprised if something came out tomorrow, which I think was in up here, Smedley 5 hours ago, said showing gameplay features from H1Z1 later this week in different streams. We're getting close. Well, this week's almost done, so that would mean Friday, Saturday time frame we might see some stuff. So they keep putting stuff out. So very, 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 very cool. Anyhow, so it was nice to see more content. I have not taken the time to watch or listen to any of these podcast zeros. Not that I wouldn't. It's just finding time to fit in what I do and then additional things too. But they seem pretty popular. So I think I would want to give them a watch because they definitely do have like guests and things, and I don't. So that makes me jealous. It's just me. So I got to give them a check out. But there were some things here that I thought I would take a look at, like confirmed. Ever since I watched that 12-hour dev stream, I just laugh whenever anybody refers to confirmed. Is that feature confirmed? No feature's confirmed until you see it on your screen and you're pushing the buttons to interact with it. So dismemberment models can damage confirmed. I'm just going to speculate. If I open it, I'm afraid I'm going to open it and see comments about, who knows. But I'll just say this. I would not expect it to be out at release. There's a lot of stuff they have to put in the game just to do kind of like a proof of concept that it works. And then maybe eventually they'll add blood and dismemberment and stuff like that. I don't think that's the focus of this game when it put it in kind of like a sandbox survival thing. Yeah, chop an arm off, you should have some dismemberment and stuff. And in zombies, you would expect that, horror genre and things. I am just not immediately expecting that. So I didn't really get into that one. I don't like that clips and magazines will not be factored into this game. And neither do I. So I didn't even read that one. I saw it, though. I agree. I really don't like the common ammo pouch, and that when you hit reload button, like in a lot of games, just magically your magazine is full of ammo, and all the leftover ammo from the other magazine is stuck back into your magical pouch of ammo. So yeah, it could be worked on better. I'm disappointed too, but again, that's something they're going to have to work out to the game. Maybe it's an engine limitation, because it's coming off of PlanetSide 2, and PlanetSide 2 is a first-person shooter on a big scale, but there are probably some things that just carried over because that's what you expect in a first-person shooter, just not what you expect in a survival game, and that might be something they got to look into. Now, I know they've talked about it, so that doesn't mean it can't happen, but I think what they kind of have to do is like Arma, like with the DayZ standalone and the Arma engine, you have to program to what you can actually program into the engine, and then from there you got to spend your time tweaking it. Like, I forget where I was reading it, but I saw that they were making some changes to DayZ to make the zombies movement appear more realistic, not clipping through walls or doing weird stuff, because that's like a big thing, because the original Arma engine that they're basing on, Arma 2, was not designed to handle zombie pathing. So this could be the same thing here. Forge Light may not have been an engine designed with the thought process of, oh, we want to have realistic clips and magazines for weapons. So it could come. I won't say no, but I do agree. It would be cool. And then just coming up, I saw this one here. What is interesting in this game? I read it. And to me, okay, it looks like just more of a troll thing. So we only run from zombies and craft for what? Why? I see only PvP as something cool. What is the game, I get guessing, maybe doing here? Run from zombies. Does this game have any depth? And of course, there's a couple photos you should have researched. But it's true. You should look. The genre, I don't even know if this is, I'm going to say it's a genre, but that's the whole point. You run from zombies, craft. And I think this goes back to, I don't know if it was the last Ground Zero I did where I talked about some character development. But that's kind of the thing. There is no point to play. That's how crazy it is. There's really no point. You go out, you find some food, you keep your person from starving to death, avoid the zombies, and avoid the PvP people. So like everything in the game is designed to kill you. So then your thought is, well, I'm going to see how long I live. Well, every time I watch a bunch of DayZ videos on the YouTube, people don't live long. Unless you just become a complete reclusive hermit and hide. And a lot of times when I play a game like that, I go out, find some food, and I go find a tree and hide and wait till I run out of food and water. Then I go out and find some more and then just sit and wait, That's the game. Now you might say, well, the PvP part, that's the point. It's a shooter. You got to go out, find weapons, and go kill people. It's like Call of Duty, except you have to find your weapons and not die of starvation in the process. That's a mentality. You could think of it that way too. But I think this game is trying to break that mentality just a little bit and provide players tools to build communities in which you can participate in a community and then try to survive that way. Because survival is still there. You don't have to make it a lobby shooter with food and hunger and finding your equipment as part of the adventure. Now you might be able to change the adventure. This is a sandbox game. It's going to be what you make it. So when you ask what is interesting in the game, whatever you make of it. It's not a hold your hand kind of game to give you content and stuff. All of that's going to be player driven. That's it. And I think with a game that can hold a mega server with like 1,000 players, and you hop on the internet and you find some guilds or people who make communities around role playing, you're going to find people who do like The Walking Dead. Boom. That's what's interesting in the game. You're going to have people that will have their forums where they role play on the forums and then can take that into the game and role play out things that they've discussed on the forums. I mean, I think this game could potentially be a role player's dream. Granted, the genre is not Star Wars like we hoped, and it's not a high fantasy setting, but it'll give you a chance to play some post-apocalyptic type role-playing in the zombie apocalypse. And I really think that's going to be interesting to a lot of people. You're just going to have to find that community or make it. I've decided that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to find a community of role players that want to play a Walking Dead type of stuff. Now, the only thing I'll admit, I'm not very good at role playing, and my attention span is 20 to 30 minutes at a time. So I'll be on there long enough to role play for 20 or 30 minutes at a time, but that's about it. Then I'll be back the next day to do some more, or I'll come on as another character and run around and try and kill zombies. I'm just that type of person. My attention span is short. So that's what's going to make this game interesting, is what you make it and what community you find to play with. So if that's not your thing, then this isn't for you, because content is not going to be spoon-fed. Or so I think. Let's see. Can I go back? Where's the back button? There we go. All right. So what's interesting? All right. Then I saw this one. Will we be seeing female zombies roaming the streets and countrysides? Well, why not? You should. If you look at Infestation Survivor Stories, they have female zombies. And as I was reading through some things here, not all of it, but I kind of stopped them when they started talking about how female zombies would be slower than the man zombies because men are stronger than women and some other stuff. And I thought, that might be true in the real world, but trust me, when you're dead, then you're pretty much all about equal at that point. Because the part that brings you back as a zombie isn't really concerned about your muscular mass and things like that when you were alive, because a lot of that deteriorates away. What powers you and gives them that zombie strength is whatever virus or thing that's caused the zombies to happen in the first place. So just because you got a woman doesn't mean the zombie's going to be weaker. So that's kind of where I started to lose interest in the thread, is at that. I didn't read the whole thing, so there's probably, more to it, but I thought it was a good question. Will we see female zombies? I would think so. I think one thing that's going to be a real strength for Sony is to come up with a system that delivers many, many, many randomly generated zombies. It looks like right now they have two, the Fred and the Bob, and one guy or two spend a lot of time designing each zombie, all the details per zombie. I think that's wrong. Only because then that way it's going to take forever to get zombies in the game. What they need to do is do like what they currently do in a lot of their games, is have some basic shapes, basic heads, like maybe have a couple zombie heads, have a couple zombie bodies, have a couple zombie torsos, legs, kind of a combinations, and then randomly mash those together, randomly generate some colors on the clothing, and bam, you could have a lot of zombies, a lot of different types. Because currently, if they only got the one type of zombie and we have to wait for that one guy to make all the zombies look great. When he was demonstrating the zombies he was designing, they looked great. But that means we're going to end up like some zombie games where there's just one type. That gets so boring after a while. So I think we need to see randomly generated zombies, including females, males, tall, short, fat, skinny, and just randomly mash bits and pieces together. Obviously, there's going to have to be some rules. Otherwise, you're going to end up with like some very funky looking stuff. But they're dead and they're zombies. They're going to be funky looking. So sort that out. Give us some randomly generated zombies. That way when I run into a town, I'm seeing a variety of stuff. Because really, the world is full of billions of people. There's a variety of people. I want a variety of zombies. Alright, so we'll leave that one. Let's see. What was... Oh, player suggestion foraged food. I popped in here for a minute and, talk about eating and things. And I thought, well, that's cool. You find some plants, have different plants. And I was trying to think, in EverQuest, I think they put a lot of different types of collectibles and foods and things like that. It could be done. Because in EverQuest 2, I don't think they really broke it down to you have to taste the plant to see if it's poisonous or whatnot. But they have a really detailed gathering system where it's all tier-based. So if you're in the low-level tier, you get to harvest these tubers and roots and things. And as you go up, you get to harvest these, coffee plants and blah, blah, blah. I think you could do something like that for here. Why not? And if you come and you find plants, there's a chance that that might be a poisonous plant, a good plant. I kind of like the idea of checking to see properties of different plants that you could potentially harvest in the world and either apply it as poisons to weapons and things like that. I think that'd be great. Let's do that. Let's give us the opportunity to go foraging, get different plant properties, and then apply those plant properties to the things that we're crafting and harvesting. I like the idea. So couldn't really complain about that. Yeah, I was looking here. It is not 15 years. I'm just trying to think. I don't know. The thing with the 15 years, when I see those comments, they've already said they're going to start working on changing the timeline, so it might not be 15 years, could be less, more, however they want to work it, simply because 15 years is what they picked or said when they first concepted the game. So, I would just want to see that. I don't know if that was in defense of, against of, but that's not necessarily going to be the case. But anyway, I saw this one here. If any survival first-person shooter takes some source from Ultima Online, every game will be good. And I saw that, and that made me think, yeah, because I compare survival games against Ultima Online, and not from the graphic standpoint, but from that standpoint right there, the harvesting, the foraging, poison plants and things. And if you can do those things, then that's awesome. Here's what I liked about Ultima Online. I remember when I played it, I could get my knife. I could, after doing some fishing, I could cut fish into little steaks. Then I could, with my knife, sword, axe, or whatever, get some kindling off of a tree, and then use my fire skill to make a fire, and use my cooking skill to cook those steaks on the fireplace to make cooked fish patties and either burn or be successful. That was a pretty cool level of detail to me. And I agree, that's the kind of level you need in a survival game. And I think that they could eventually put that in. And that would carry over to things like foraging for food and plants and berries and things. And is it poisonous? Is it not poisonous? If I eat it, do I die? And that's why I think this game ultimately will need some perks and leveling. Now, it doesn't have to be, level 1, level 2, but maybe some percentage-based stuff. The more I forest and harvest and gather, the more likely I am to identify stuff. Like, this is really screaming to be more of an MMO than just simply a quote-unquote permadeath, which really kind of seems stupid these days. But give us something that lets us develop these characters to take care or take advantage of things like identifying poison plants, applying it to weapons and things like that. I just think there's so much more potential here than just simply running around the world. Anyway, that was a discussion I had last time. But yeah, put that kind of stuff in here for sure. And it would just be cool if our characters could really take advantage of that knowledge. Now, I know in a game like this, they say that the player at the keyboard is supposed to learn that knowledge. But at the same time, though, shoot. Once all that's put and made available on a Wikipedia site, everybody knows. And then there's no advantage to it. But if your character has to learn it, even though the guy running at the keyboard knows, my guy in the game still has to learn it. So, give us some development. Anyway, last thing that I think I'll talk about, which two things. Build a base on your boat. Okay, now we've talked about this in the Dead Linger. We've talked about this here, rolling caravans, RVs and stuff. The boat, I think, would still be a fabulous way to survive the apocalypse. You're in the water. I don't think we're going to have swimming zombies, so unless they're crawling up the chain to your anchor, just stay free floating. That would be a phenomenal way to stay safe. Fish, if the fish are still alive, you got fishing, water purification system so you can drink water. There's a lot of potential to live on a boat. So I thought it was a cool idea. Then I saw a couple people saying, well, shouldn't we have things like swimming or watering first? Man, that sucks. Because just as soon as someone puts out a good idea, there's somebody trying to kick it down. But here's the thing. How would they know to develop those kinds of things if people don't mention it as a point of interest? And they won't know that they need to work on swimming if there's no interest in water-based activities in the first place. So, great idea. Keep it coming. Yeah, you might not be able to build a boat now, but at least we know, hey, that's something they could put in at some point. Anyway, I love the idea. I hope they put in boats. Just like at some point they've talked about having helicopters drop food and different things like that. Boats, man. Put them in. Okay, last thing. Spreading plague. So what this guy was saying here was, as like some kind of in-game event to try and keep communities moving around and people not being so static, was, let's say you're killing a bunch of zombies, and let's say you kill some zombies, and then the zombies, if you don't burn the bodies, they release a plague into the air or on the ground, and then that plague spreads, and if you stay in the plague area, your character dies, and you can't go in the plague area because if you do, you die. Then let's say you're being chased by zombies, and up ahead you see that it's a plague area. And then do you continue running and try to avoid the plague area and skirt around it? Or do you try and skirt your way back through the zombies chasing you? It makes choices. Plus, those plagues come and go, so it doesn't stay there forever, but it'll disappear, and then a plague, due to whatever zombie deaths, will pull up elsewhere. It's a way to kind of keep people moving around. I think it's a pretty good idea. I'm not entirely 100% sold on it, because I think that with the way that I play, because I play so sporadically, I would never have any idea what's going on or where people are. So I would just feel lost always, because places that I used to go to do things might not be accessible to me, and since I don't play enough to know where I should be going to do things on these alternate times, that might just suck. So I'm not entirely sold on the idea, but it's an idea that intrigues me, and I would have to see if something like that was implemented into the game, how that would be handled to know if I would like it or not. So I thought the idea initially was really, really cool. The more I thought about it, the more I went, I don't know. But ultimately, it would be something I would like to see if that was a possibility, and then what you could do with a possibility like that. Some dynamic event that helps to channel and focus the action away from the same place, and yet helps to keep people moving around and around, so you always have chances, opportunities, and reasons to go explore the world. You know, because really, in a lot of current maps, like when you see DayZ, you know, you see people always talk about ranger barracks, airfields. You know, there's places that people mention that you should know as a DayZ player to go and get gear, and that's where the PvP takes place. But how would that be if you went to do that and it's a plague area? Well, that just throws a wrench in the whole thing. Now you got to do something completely different. And that, I think, would be a dynamic thing that should be in a survival game. Because it's not about memorizing where the ranger barracks are and whatnot. It's about staying on your feet, being mobile, and surviving the world, and not worrying so much about other players trying to kill you all the time, because you got other stuff to worry about. So anyway, it's an idea that intrigued me. I'd like to see if something like that would be possible and how they would actually play it out. So let's see here. Yeah, let's go ahead and wrap it up there. You know, share some of your thoughts and ideas too. I like reading the comments. I don't always get to reply to every comment because YouTube doesn't let me. So I try to track everything, but a lot of times I'll read something about, hey, that's pretty cool, and I'll go to look for my reply button. I can't find a reply button. But, you know, keep posting comments. I really appreciate everybody who shares their thoughts. I like to stay engaged in the conversation. Let me know if there's some features that you've read about on Reddit that you thought were cool. Maybe you have a feature that you've seen from another game that you think would be cool in here. You know, share your thoughts. I like to talk. Anyhow, thanks again for watching, everybody, and I will see you later.